Hi, my name's Tori. I am coming back after being gone for quite a while. I haven't been doing a lot of stuff on YouTube or social media in general. I've been busy with summer school and getting ready for the fall semester, but I really enjoy watching tier lists. And I think it would be interesting to do a tier list based off of my own opinions because I know that my opinions are going to be vastly different than most people's. When I think of a tier list, the first thing I think of is The Office because that is all that I've been watching with my husband. We are almost completely done. We're on season 8, towards the end of the season. We're gonna have to rewatch it again, and I wanted to make a tier list based on my opinion on The Office characters. I don't think that this has absolutely everybody, but this has the most important people in the show that you're going to come across for the most part. Okay, so I actually went ahead and fixed the colors that I was looking at because it was bothering me that it was mixed. My brain works better with seeing green as best, or S is superb or super or whatever you want to call it, and then it gets to red. So that's just how my brain works, so I had to go transfer that because it was bothering me. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with Mr. Michael Scott. He is probably one of my favorite characters, and I think it has to go an S. The first couple of seasons, he wasn't very entertaining, was kind of mean, and I didn't know if I was going to like him, and honestly, I wasn't sure if I was going to watch The Office whenever I started seeing Michael Scott, but I knew I loved Steve Carell as a actor, so I gave him a shot. Throughout the seasons, I started to grow a love for Michael Scott and really saw that all he wanted to do was just be accepted and loved, and I really fell in love with the character and how they developed him in a whole way. I do wish that at the end of the season that they had shown him with Holly, having children, and like kind of fulfilling what he was wanting all along throughout the entire show. Number 2 is Oscar Martinez, and overall, he's a good character. He's extremely funny, and I will give him that, but he's very catty. He's not my least favorite, but he's also not my favorite, so I'm going to put him in the B category just because he's kind of in the middle where you don't get to see a whole lot of him. He's not a super main character, but he's also not a character that comes up every once in a while or like one season and then is gone, so he's still pretty important to me and someone I enjoy, but not up to Michael Scott level where I'm just wanting to see more and more screen time of him. Next one is David Wallace. He was a good character, I guess. He wasn't the same as Oscar, so I'm gonna have to put him in C. Not D because I don't dislike him or didn't care if he was there or not, but he did add to it, and I thought he was pretty funny during some of the seasons with Michael and Jan and their task, whatever you want to call it, but towards the end of the seasons, he kind of dissipated as a character, so you don't really get to see the development with him, so I didn't really get to like him as much. Okay, so moving on to Gabe. I feel indifferent about Gabe. The character itself is funny and very awkward, and I think the thing that made me really like Gabe more and go from D to C is the whole him being jealous of Andy and the whole weird situation with them and like the weird awkward crying scene. I don't want him not to be on the show, or I don't dislike when he's on camera, but he's not as funny of a character as the other ones. Mr. Jim Halpert is absolutely at the very top tier. Love the character, love the actor. He is extremely funny and really well written, good jokes, very loving to Pam, and I love their relationship and how good of a father he is, but also I like that it kind of shows that sometimes he's not happy with himself, and I apparently they were going to break Pam and Jim up like the last season of The Office, and one of them was supposed to cheat on the other, and the actor John Krasinski actually fought against it, said like don't do that to the fans, and I'm so happy that he said that because I do love Jim and Pam together, and I think that they're definitely top tier, so obviously Pam will go up there anyways, but we'll get there. Mr. Kevin Malone. He's funny, but he's kind of annoying, so I don't know if I should put him in D or C. I'll do C because he has really funny scenes. Like the chili scene is very iconic if you've watched The Office at all, or even if you haven't, there's tons of memes about it. Those parts are hilarious, and where I've actually like laughed hard at The Office. It's kind of weird how they made his voice, so his voice was very annoying to me, and the way that they made him talk slower, it just kind of annoyed me a little bit, because in the beginning of the seasons, he didn't do that. Yeah, he's definitely not my favorite, but not least favorite. Jo, I don't remember her last name, from Tallahassee, Florida. She's gonna go to D. Didn't like her as a character. She wasn't very funny. She was kind of just mean. The whole dog thing was weird with me. I didn't miss when she wasn't on screen. That's all I'll say with her. So then there's Phyllis Vance. I think she's gonna go in the same category as Oscar, because she was funny, really catty, especially towards Pam. I do enjoy her as a character, and I liked to see her on the screen, but she wasn't like a main character, so it was nice to see her, but definitely think that she deserves to be in the B category. Alright, so Nelly. I feel like I'm going to keep putting people in C, but wasn't a super huge fan of Nelly, to be honest. I don't think they gave her enough screen time for me to really develop any amount of liking for her as much. Alright, so Charles, I'm just gonna put him here. Honestly, he was very short in the whole scene of The Office. He was okay of a character, just not great, not someone I cared whether he was there or not, so D. Clark, or New Dwight, he also joins way later into the season. I'm gonna put him in D. Honestly, I don't really like the two that they added on towards the end of The Office. After you watch something for so long with so many seasons and you get to know these characters, it's really hard, I think, for myself personally, to accept the characters into the show and see that they fit well, because it just didn't fit well with me. So I didn't really develop that connection like I did with Jim, Pam, and Michael. So then there's Mose. People might be like, why? But I'm gonna put him in B, I think, because anytime he was on screen or anything about Mose, it was really funny, and I think that even though he didn't speak hardly at all and didn't hardly do anything, some of the things that he did was extremely funny, and the character really fit well with the story of Dwight and Angela, and I really liked it. So I definitely think he's a B, even though he didn't get a lot of screen time and there wasn't a lot of background information about him. Moving on to my man Hank. I'm unfortunately going to put Hank in the D category, not because I didn't like him as a character or I didn't think he was funny, but because there just wasn't a lot of screen time with him, wasn't a main character, wasn't someone who made or broke the scene or was important to the scene. He kind of could have been there or not been there, so it's gonna be a D character, unfortunately. And then there's Todd Packer. If there was like a F, I would put him in F. Do not like Todd Packer at all. Very annoying, dumb character. Could have felt happier if he wasn't there, but I get why they needed the kind of villain character in The Office. I'm glad that he wasn't a main character and only popped up occasionally and really kind of dissipated whenever Michael left. And then there is the Stanley Hudson. I'm gonna put him in A, only because I think that he's a really interesting character, and I like that he was so mean and not in the meanness of Todd Packer, but a different kind of mean, and just kind of annoyed, and I really related to that character a lot, and he brought a lot of comedic value. Now that I'm thinking about it, Oscar and Stanley are kind of in the same position, actually. I'm gonna have to move him up, thinking about it, because they're some of my favorite characters, but not my favorite, so I'm going to do that. Then there's Miss Holly. I like Holly. I think that her and Michael are a really cute match, and I'm really, really happy that the writers of the show wrote Holly in, and that they gave Michael someone to love and to be very similar like Michael. But I'm also not like a super huge fan of her. She's not as great as Michael, obviously, and the character itself was kind of annoying. I didn't really like that she like took so long to get back with Michael, and I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to put her at C, because that's kind of low. Because I did like her, and I like her more than these people. So I'm going to have to put her in B. The character really helped develop Michael and make me like Michael better, so I think she deserves a B. Then there's Miss Pam Beasley, obviously, or Halpert. Obviously, she's got to be an A tier. Through and through, one of my favorite characters. I think Pam is actually my favorite character. I think everything that she did was really adding to the story, and I really enjoyed the fact that they made her be a focal point when anything was going on that was crazy because of her facial expressions. I think it really added to the scene. Her and Jim are obviously a duo. Great couple. I think everybody in the entire internet wishes that they were actually together in real life, and there's like some kind of chemistry, whether that's platonic or not. I love them together, and I love Pam individually. I think she would have done well as a character, even if her and Jim hadn't got together. I will say the first probably 4 seasons, I probably would have put her in a tier B because of how hard it was to watch. I think it was the first 3 seasons, actually. How hard it was to watch them flirting back and forth, but her being with Roy, and I just didn't like that relationship and how Jim was kind of on the sidelines. And now, like, overall as a whole character, seeing the whole entire show, definitely a S tier. Like, love her, love the character. So then there's Daryl, and honestly, I'm gonna have to do C. I like Daryl, but I also don't feel as attached to Daryl and don't think Daryl is as funny as Phyllis or Oscar or Stanley even. I don't mind when he's on an episode, but I also am not like, oh, where's Daryl? I don't really think about it if he's not there, if that makes sense. So I'll have to be a C because it's kind of like anything from C down, I'm kind of like, they're okay. They can get a couple of episodes in, but I don't need a lot of them. So then there is Mr. Roy, and he is definitely going to be a D. Didn't really like Roy, didn't like a lot about Roy, actually. I can't think of much that I did like about him. Hated how he treated Pam and how he took her for granted, and then the second that Pam moves on and does what she wants to do for her life and starts living for her and not for their relationship, he tries so hard to get back with her and now tries when it's too late, even though she spent years trying to get him to do that. It just kind of was annoying. Yeah, not my favorite, but I do think he was a great character that added to the show, so I wouldn't say that he's someone that I would want to be off the show, because then it wouldn't have made Pam and Jim's relationship as strong, I think, if there wasn't that distance between the two and them trying to get together, but it not really working out and them not knowing if they should or shouldn't, you know. Alright, so Mr. Dwight Schrute, I think, is going to also have to be an S tier. Probably up there with Pam as my top favorite character on the show. I really like how different they made him. You don't really see anybody on TV in any capacity like Dwight, so I really like that they made this character so interesting and unique, and I really love The Office in general because they really developed these characters throughout the seasons. Definitely is one of my favorite characters. He's hilarious. I love the cat mouse kind of thing that Jim and him have, and I like that he likes Jim. You can tell he likes Jim, but he doesn't want Jim to know that he likes Jim, and he likes Pam and like gets advice from Pam, and Pam helps him, and it's just, I love those 3 together all as one. So they're all definitely S tier for me. And then there's Miss Angela. I would have to say that she's going to be a B tier. I do really like the character Angela, but I don't think that she's someone who I love like Stanley or Oscar. She has a lot of sass like them, but she's not as funny, but she's just more mean and very cat-like. So I do like the character, but I kind of wish that they had less focus on the cats, and I didn't really like the character when she was trying so hard to not be with Dwight and would cheat on like everybody with Dwight. That's the one thing that kind of makes me not like her as much. And then there is Erin, or her name is Kelly, but goes by Erin. I can't decide if I want to put her in B. I think I'm gonna do B. She's right in here with the rest of them. I really like Erin. Whenever she first came on to the show, I didn't think I was gonna like her, but as the seasons went on and you kind of learn her backstory and learn how she was in foster care and just wants someone to love, I really liked her as a whole character, and I loved that she was a huge people pleaser because it was just funny how they wrote the scenes with her, and she's very funny and really sweet as a character, and I'm glad that they added that because there's kind of a lot of sass going on. Like Phyllis, Angela, Oscar, and Stanley are all kind of sassy characters, but there's not a lot of really sweet, caring, kind ones, and she really fits that role well. And then there's Bob Vance, Vance Refrigeration. I'm gonna put him at D. Wasn't in the entire series a whole lot. Didn't really care that he was or wasn't. When they did put him in, though, I will say that they were it was appropriate for when he showed up, I guess is what I'll say. And then there's Pete, or Plop. I'm also going to put him in D next to his little friend because, like I said, not a huge fan of him. Was added towards the very end. I feel like they were kind of maybe putting fillers in because there were some other characters who weren't going to be on the show as often. Didn't have a lot of time to get to really like the character. Like, Erin joined at a really good time where she could really fit in well and matched well with Andy, and you could develop the character. But because those two were added towards the very end and didn't get a lot of screen time, could kind of care less if they were there or not. And then there is Robert California. I'm going to put him in B because he was extremely funny and extremely confusing as a character, just because I could never tell if he was being genuine or honest, and just the way that he spoke to people, and very bizarre and acted kind of weird. He made the scenes when he was in them, and when he spoke, it was very intentional. And whoever wrote his parts, it just fit really well, and I think that it was a good replacement for a while, but it definitely wasn't like Michael. And then there is Miss Karen, and I'm gonna put her in D. I did not like the character. I didn't like that she and Jim dated at all. Really glad that she didn't last very long. Just wasn't as funny. Honestly, I think I have a huge bias against her solely because her and Jim dated, and Jim was flirting with her. And yeah, that's really it. I just wanted Jim and Pam to be together. So when they brought those two characters together after Pam and Roy had broken up, I was like, what is going on? Like, I was so upset that they had brought her in and done this whole thing where he moves away. And I was like, what is happening? So really glad that Jim and Pam ended up being together. But when they got together, they kind of got her to go away because she wasn't as important in the story anymore. So not really a huge fan of her. And then there's Miss Kelly Kapoor. I think I'm going to put her as a C. She was funny, and I did enjoy the scenes that she was in, but I think the dynamic between her and Ryan it was just too much. I didn't really like their relationship, so I'm just also going to throw him in as C as well, because they are kind of a duo. I think of them together, and they were funny together, but not something that I loved. And Ryan was kind of an ass and not very fun to watch on screen. I did like Kelly Kapoor though, but I did not like Ryan. I would get that clear, but they kind of go in the same category because I wasn't wanting more screen time with them, or didn't care as much if they weren't in the episode or a main focal point in that episode. And there's Meredith. I'm gonna also have to put her as a C. I'm gonna do D. She didn't bring much to the table. I understand that they had to have kind of a Hot Mess Express character on the show, but kind of a bad mom, kind of a bad person, kind of annoying, and just not very fun to watch on screen, other than kind of like, they're kind of showing like this girl needs help. So there's Mr. Creed Bratton, or really whatever his name is. I'm gonna put him in A. I don't care what anyone says. I think he was hilarious. Every time he spoke, I was really like, what is going on? And the character himself was like, what is going on? And just talked out of his ass, really. I enjoyed it very much, and I think that kind of humor is what appeals to me. So I know a lot of people don't like Creed, but then there's a lot of people who love Creed, but I love the character, and I think he was extremely funny and entertaining to watch, and brought a lot to the show, and brought comedic relief when necessary. Jane Levinson, I'm going to put her in D. I didn't really like Jan. Jane was really mean to Michael. Michael's one of my favorite characters, and she was kind of a bust. Didn't really like her that much. However, the scenes with her and Michael were very, 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 very funny, and I think my all-time favorite episode, which probably is everybody's, is the episode where Michael and Jan invite over Jim and Pam and a couple of others to a dinner party. It made me like Jan's character even more, even though that's weird to say, but just that entire episode was hilarious. I liked her in that sense, but not in any other sense, because she didn't bring me like joy and didn't make me feel good when I saw her on there, because she was just always mean to Michael and really manipulative to Michael. So I was kind of glad that she didn't really show up much. And then there's Andy Bernard. I'm gonna put him in C only because I liked him as a character and I thought he was funny, but I didn't really like the whole him trying to get validation from his parents and him being from a rich family and just like feeling sorry for himself all the time and thinking that he deserves the best and da 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 da. I just didn't like that part about him, but the comedy from him was good, and I liked his and Erin's relationship when they had one. But towards probably the last 2 seasons of The Office kind of ruined my idea of Andy as a whole character, just because they really didn't do him good those last few seasons. Maybe season 7, my tier would have been maybe B for Andy, but looking at the character as a whole, I'm gonna have to go down to a C. And then there's my man Toby. I'm gonna put him in B. I think Toby is an underrated character, and I really liked him and how quiet he was, and I liked the dynamic that they had between Michael and Toby, and how much Michael hated Toby, and then everyone else kind of didn't like Toby and didn't really listen to him, but when he does speak, it's very funny and very, like, off the wall as well. He's just one of my more favorable characters, and I wish that we could have gotten to know Toby a little bit more, but he's not like a Jim or a Pam for me. Actually, I think I'm gonna move him up, because I really did enjoy Toby. I just like the character and like the mystery behind him, because you don't know a lot about him and he's just kind of an odd duck. And then there's last but most certainly least, D'Angelo. I'm gonna put him in D. I'm gonna probably get hate for this one, but I don't like Will Ferrell as an actor. I think he's hilarious, but all of the roles he plays is extremely annoying, and that's literally what he's doing. Like, that's his job, to be annoying in that position, in that role. But I just don't like the comedy that comes from him as much. One of my least favorite characters on the show. Could have done without him. So yeah, there's my list. I am assuming that some people are, actually almost every single person is going to disagree with me. Let me know if you agree with my tier list, and if you see that I have a character that's higher up than they deserve to be or lower than they deserve to be. Let me know in the comments below, and we can kind of debate about it. And I want to hear your opinions. Maybe I'm missing something about a character and I'll have an epiphany and want to move them up a tier or down a tier when you explain to me why. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm gonna head out though. Thank you guys so much for watching. May all your stars align, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.